Hello everyone, welcome to the Gmat Club MBA Spotlight Fair featuring top business schools from around the world. My name is Harris Khan and I'm a Gmat Club moderator. And today we have the lovely Francesca, Tyler, and Meghan from SDA Bocconi. We're going to be offering some prizes for you for attending this session. So the prize drawing will be done at the end of the session and the link to enter the prize drawing will be posted to this chat. So make sure you check that out. And remember to like this video and subscribe to the Gmat Club channel on YouTube to stay informed of more great sessions coming up. I don't want to take any more time from the folks over at SDA Bocconi, so I will turn over to Tyler and Francesca to start the presentation. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. So thank you very, very much, Harris. Thank you to Gmat Club for giving us this opportunity to help prospective candidates better shape their MBA decision. It is a very, very tough decision. And so the objective of this session, of Tyler's message, Meghan's message, and my message is to help you better understand what is SDA Bocconi MBA, what are its specific characteristics and nuances that help you eventually make the right decision. So I'm Francesca Roveda. I'm part of the Recruiting and Admissions Office, and I will be covering some parts of this session. And then my colleagues, Tyler is a colleague, and Meghan was wearing your same shoes some time ago while she was deciding her MBA, where to do it. And so she'll be sharing with you her experience. She's a current MBA student who has gone up to a couple of months, but since, as you will see, it's a very, very intense program, she will be able to tell you a lot about what her experience has been up till now. So as we always like, 3 is the magic number. We believe there are 3 main reasons that should be the basis of your SDA Bocconi MBA choice. I would like to cover the first one, which is be part of a group of AA, AAA people. What does that exactly mean? So the MBA, of course, is made of people who have to be, how could I say, very ambitious. Ambitious doesn't mean, of course, arrogant. Ambitious mean people that want to put themselves into discussion, want to make a huge investment. This is a huge investment from all perspectives, time-wise, money-wise, effort, commitment-wise. So we want people who are curious, who want to excel. You want to sit in a class of people that come from very diverse background. We will see in a second what we mean by that, but people who have that kind of approach. People who have an aspiration to change. Of course, if you do a full-time MBA, it's mainly because you want to have a change, a personal one, a professional one. You want to change in terms of location, in terms of sector, in terms of industry. You have reached a sort of stagnant phase beyond which you can't go unless you stop, re-equip yourself, and then go back to work. So this pretty dramatic change, it has to be a sort of urge that you have when you're considering an MBA. People who have developed a strong sense of social awareness. What do we mean by that? We mean a lot of things, but considering your full-time MBA at SDA Bocconi, we mean people that can fully value the diversity of your class profile. So you will easily have the French lawyer, the Italian economist, the Russian consultant, the American entrepreneur. So people with very, very different backgrounds. And so your capacity to truly listen to each other, your capacity to learn from each other, and your capacity to have respect of, classmates, faculty, guest speakers can only improve your professional and personal development. So these are 3 important aspects that should be considered while doing our MBA, because we put a lot of value on such 3 fundamental factors. There are other important aspects, but I'd like to hand it over to you, Tyler, for the second aspect of our MBA. Thank you.
Thanks, Francesca, and Tyler Henderson here. And yeah, so number 2, and this is for those listening who may be native English speakers, we talked a lot about this word cozy, because it's a bit of a strange word sometimes in English, but we find it important because cozy for us means connected, tight-knit, kind of close together. So cozy, diverse, and competitive environment. That's something that we think is important here. And to sort of put some numbers on it, more or less, we have 100 students in the program per year. It's a small program, certainly compared to other peer elite level business schools, quite small. Along with Meghan, there would be a total of 98 students currently on campus studying full-time in our program in Milano, representing 30 different nationalities. And so this number, this 98 number, is really important, and the reason that we take our recruitment and admissions so seriously, because in a small program like ours, we must get every admission decision right. Because although you're potentially investing in lots of different things in an MBA program, the impact that your actual class will have on you, that is the greatest impact that you'll see. And so if you ever become a candidate or an applicant to SDA Bocconi, we remain quite connected and kind of hold your hand through the process, because we want to make sure by the end, when we make a decision, and if that decision is admission, that it's the right decision for you and it's also the right decision for us. 29, that means the average age of students. That's pretty typical in a European MBA with 5.5 years of working experience. Basically everyone in the MBA clusters between the ages of about 27 and 32. You might find 5% older than that or 5% younger, but that's really the moment when people have come in, have some good work experience, as Francesca said, have sort of reached a point in their career and life when something needs to change or something wants to change. And that could be professional or academic or personal. It's often all three of those things. And we get many requests for younger and older candidates to our program. And the reason that we tend to not admit them to the program is not because we don't think they're smart enough or motivated enough. It's that there is a certain type of company and a certain type of result that will come from doing a program like Bocconi. And if you're younger or older, those results dissipate. And so we want to ensure as much as possible that if someone comes to us, their investment is a good one. Meghan, I wonder if you could jump in here, and you've been at Bocconi for a couple months now, and maybe just talk about what that means relative to sort of class composition and how you feel that day to day.
Yeah, so for me, I come from a marketing background, so less of a finance background. So I kind of, in my case, I'm trying to learn a lot about finance. And I think one thing that's helpful is that there's a lot of people who kind of have that background already in the class that have helped me a lot in trying to understand things. Because of course you're in class every day and learning about these things, but your classmates are as important, if not sometimes more important to your education, because you can work with them and collaborate with them to try to learn things that maybe you're not so strong on, but they are very strong on, and vice versa. Like I can help out someone with marketing that maybe has never done a marketing deck or pitch before. So I think that's quite important. And also just, if you're not from a business background, we have everyone from lawyers to architects to designers, very diverse backgrounds in terms of like where they're coming from, also different industries. So that gives you an interesting perspective, because you can kind of see, okay, what if I'm interested in going into consulting? So maybe this, we have a couple of people who are very deep into consulting, for example, and they share their experiences with us. They do case practice with us. So I think that's also really helpful. And in general, I was just saying to someone today, for example, everyone is so impressive. Like every day I come into the class and I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm so impressed by every single person in this class in some aspect. And you kind of know everybody because it's relatively small. So I think that's a nice thing about the class too.
Thanks, Meghan.
Thank you. Okay. And now let's look at, well, you are the protagonist of the session, our prospective candidates who will be, watching or listening to this video, because you need to receive and absorb as much as possible about the different schools in order to better understand what characterizes them. But now let's look at the program itself. So we say live a unique experience that flexibly accommodates learning and practice in just 1 year. I think there are two key important crucial words here: 1 year and flexibly. So it is a 1 year program. This means that for us, it's an added value because it allows you to go back to work much earlier, as opposed, for example, to a typically 2 year format, but it's very, very intense. It does contain all the typical ingredients an MBA should have. You will have core courses, you will have concentrations, you will have exchange programs, and also the internships or the entrepreneurial project is a compulsory part of your MBA. Many times I get worried questions like, okay, 1 year program, but then I'm going to miss out the internship. No, you're not. You have to do it because it is a compulsory part of your study path. So you start in September. There is only one intake. We always start in September. And the first part from September until May, you will be developing the general management preparation that an MBA should give you. So marketing, strategy, finance, accounting, operations, supply chains. So all those core courses that build a 360-degree perspective and allow you to move with this in a company because you have a thorough perspective. At the same time, you will be developing the famous soft skills, which in fact are not that easy to be acquired. They are pretty hard. What I'm referring to leadership skills, decision-making, problem-solving, creative intelligence, thinking out of the box. These are not skills that can be taught by professors or books, but the environment of the class, the students, the teaching methods, which are always very active and very involving our students, that's what allows you to develop such skills. The workload also, because if you have a lot to be prepared for the following day, either you learn how to share the workload with your classmates or you just don't make it. You have to learn how to prioritize. You have to learn how to decide whether to take advantage of the various career service workshops, webinars, seminars, or the guest speakers, because there is a lot. The menu is very, very rich and you want to absorb as much as possible, but you also have to learn how to pace yourself. The second part, during the first part, so you have the core courses and then you have 3 concentrations. That's the time when you can go more in depth in your areas of interest, which can be marketing innovation on one side, finance, or entrepreneurship. There is also a luxury in business management concentration for those of you who have a very strong passion for the luxury business, for the luxury industry. It's in collaboration with LWMH, so it is a very good opportunity to, have the general management part of your MBA with a strong focus on the luxury industry. And then there is a second part where you can do you have to put into practice what you have learned in the first part through the internship, which is usually an individual internship, or also an entrepreneurial project. So for those of you who have an entrepreneurial idea, or they want to start to work on their startup idea, or they have a family business, this is a very good opportunity because it's a program that puts a lot of emphasis on the entrepreneurship part. And then exchange program for those of you who are interested. Of course, it's not compulsory, but if you want to internationalize even more your study path and going abroad in one of the top business schools with which we have made agreements, that is also a possibility and opportunity. So what I'm saying, there is a lot there. You can do it. It's hard, it's tough. Because it's tough, because the workload is intense, and because of your classmates, you will be able really to exploit to the full the development of the soft skills. Before moving to the next slide, which represents another added value, I would like to have Meghan tell us how much, how hard, how intense, how challenging your first 2 months at Bocconi have been. So that was the program, the structure, but maybe you can tell us a typical day when you wake up in the morning. What do you do? Until what time are you MBA focused?
Yeah, I would say I'm very MBA focused. My whole life is very MBA focused right now. And I think that's pretty much the consensus among our class. However, there are people who have families, there are people who have partners. So there is a way to achieve balance, but it's tough. I would say intense is a good word for it. Every day, let's see, a typical day would be starting class at 8:30. So usually we have 2 to 3 classes, 8:30 to 1:30, 90 minutes each. And then after that, we generally kind of have lunch, either maybe with your group that you're working with for that term, or just really quickly somewhere around school. And then in the afternoons generally are spent either studying or working on group projects. Is a huge part of the program so far for me. And then also clubs or, events that are happening that day at school. So for example, today I had class from 10:15 to 1:30, and then at 2 to 3, I met with my group to work on a project. And then 3 to 4, I met with the Ethica Club to talk about, something we're planning coming up. And then for 2 more hours, I kind of studied and worked on my group project for school. And then, tonight I had some optional things to do if I wanted to. But generally, I'm here at Bocconi between 10 and 12 hours a day. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart. But I think the nice thing about it is that it is 9 and 10 months. So after the 9 months, you're kind of done with that aspect of it. And then you can focus on, your career, either going directly into a full-time job or, like many of us, doing hopefully an internship in the summer next year. So.
Okay, great. Thank you, Meghan. And here, of course, there is another important factor you want to consider when you decide where to go to study your, to take your MBA. So the location. And the location is not just the beauty of the city. And in this sense, okay, I'm very Italian, I'm very Milanese, so I can only say very beautiful things about Milan. But the location means, okay, do I want to be exposed to that culture? Do I want to learn an extra language? The program, of course, is entirely in English. You don't need to speak in Italian. But if you speak a little bit before coming on campus, you break the ice before coming, then you pick up the language by also taking maybe our Italian language courses. And this will give you a tremendous opportunity to better exploit the beauty of the country, of the people, of the culture, and also for professional reasons afterwards. If you speak the language, you will have less problems in finding a job opportunities in Italy. I think that also to this regard, Meghan, you're not Italian. I think you can maybe make a comment about your life in Milan and your life on campus.
Yeah, so I don't speak Italian, which I would say is to my detriment. I am taking the classes here in Italy, but if you're not super focused on taking Italian while you're here, it is hard to learn. So I would recommend people, if they have a chance to take, like, I know a bunch of people took like a 2-week intensive course or something before the program started, and that just helps you get off on the right foot. But it's also possible to get around without it. It makes it easier if you do speak a little bit. From a campus perspective, yes, it's brand new. It's beautiful. There's lots, we have a lot of space to collaborate. So, and we spend a lot of our time here. So it's nice that we kind of have a beautiful building to be in every day. I'm in it now. And then from like a Milan perspective, I think the one thing is it never failed to have something to do. So like especially with all the students, like students are always organizing something. There's always a social activity. There's always a dinner. Like it would be literally impossible not to be social because you have a bunch of people to go and do things with, and a lot of people who maybe know Milan, so they can recommend things and share it on the group chat, so I think that's another aspect of it too, like, because the program is very intense, but we also do a lot of really fun stuff as well. So that's also important.
Great. Thank you, Meghan.
So I just want to say a quick word, because in most chats and most discussions about MBA programs, rankings come up. And here's my feeling about rankings, and I hope it's shared a bit more widely, which is that no individual ranking matters. So if you look here, right, if we're the 5th ranked MBA in Europe or the 2nd or the 9th, does that matter? Not in particular, right? But in the aggregate, I do believe that rankings mean something, right? Which is it sort of categorizes schools and their reputation, which deals basically with the incoming students and the outcome of those students and the teaching faculty, et cetera. So we are proud that we're highly ranked, that sort of indicates a certain level of prestige, a certain level of hard work, those sort of things. I caution that if anyone were to make a decision solely based on rankings, that they should reconsider why they're doing an MBA at all.
So now, Tyler, we need to actually go to the more boring part, yet you need to have these tech pieces of information if you want to better elaborate prepare your admissions process. So who do we look for? I think there is also, well, we can show that slide later on, but we look for people who have, for sure, a huge amount of commitment, people who have a strong sense of curiosity and passion. Those ingredients, even if they cannot be measured like a Gmat, like your transcripts, they have to be there. And how can we understand if you are the right candidate for the right program at the right time? So the questions you should really ask yourself: why do I really want an MBA? Why now? Why is the Bocconi? And if you have gone through these questions like a nightmare that follows you, and you have been fully digested the answers, you are ready to let us understand why you can match our program. And where do you show such match, such fit? In your essay questions on one side, That's like step number one. It's a sort of business card you're going to introduce to the admission committee, because they read your application form, they start to read your essays, and they have to have a clear idea immediately about who is this person? Why should we admit him or her? What is added value she or he brings to the program? And so the only piece of advice I can give you is, I know it's a very simple one, yet it's a true one. Be yourself, be concrete, give examples. So I'm not saying don't just write the typical, sometimes we get the very standardized answers. Of course, most of you pretty much have the same reasons why they want to do an MBA, but you are all different. So try to have those nuances, those peculiar traits that each of us have emerge in your essay questions. Maybe you can talk, oh no, the video pre-interview. I want to talk about the video pre-interview also. It's something that we added, what, 10, 15 years ago? Now it's a long time ago. Because a GMAT, and Tyler is going to talk about that, it's a number, it's a score. It's very easy for us to evaluate. It's not that easy for you guys to do it. We know that. But how can you understand if, sorry, if the potential soft skills are there? How can we understand your emotional intelligence, your capacity to work in group, your capacity to react out of the comfort zone? So we decided to introduce this video pre-interview, which means you have to follow the instructions given in the application form. There is a link, you go to this link, and then you have to answer a series of questions that pop up on your screen. You don't know beforehand what the questions are. You have limited amount of time. You know you will be evaluated, so you will be kind of nervous. The only piece of advice I can give you is be ready to feel uncomfortable. And that's exactly what we want. Not because we are mean, but because we have to be very sure that we are admitting the right person to the right program at the right time. So the essay questions, together with the video pre-interview and other factors we will see in a second, for sure helps us on this softer part. But now if I want to go in order, I see there is the GMAT part, which I'm very happy to leave to you, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, it's the part of the process that gets the most attention, I think, from a lot of applicants, because it's an easy way to compare yourself to a number, an average, or to other people. Trust me, it's not that interesting for us, and it means a whole lot less to us than you think it does. The ideal scenario is to get a GMAT result that basically makes the GMAT irrelevant. As Francesca said, it's a number that happened on one day of your life at one time. So if it meant nothing, we wouldn't require it, and we absolutely do. And we are not offering GMAT waivers, and we do not intend to do so. So it is worth preparing for. And we do get a lot of requests for waivers. I don't have time to prepare, etc. Trust me, if you don't have time to prepare for a GMAT, you definitely don't have time to do an MBA. That's just a word of advice. The other piece is transcripts. This is the part of the process that is just the most unchangeable, right? And people finish their university studies, 5, 8, 10 years before. Again, it means something. We wouldn't ask for that credential and we wouldn't ask for the results, but you can't do anything about it, right? So if you're less than satisfied with how you performed during your bachelor and or a master degree, you're welcome to talk about it. But we're going to be far more interested on your career development and the things that happen after your university studies than what happened within. And again, you start from the point at which you are. You can't change your academic credentials, so just own it and go forward with it. And then quickly, because I think we're probably running a little bit out of time, we just want to say a couple words about
Tyler, but if you can just move backward a second on the previous slide. It is true we were running out of time, but also to let them know they need to present 2 reference letters, and then for what concerns English, either TOEFL or IELTS. So of course, maybe if you're American, but for international students whose mother tongue is not English, they have to present either TOEFL a score of about 100 or IELTS a score of about 7. And then the admissions interview, which is not the video pre-interview. All this has to be sent by April 20th. If you have not taken GMAT yet, that's something very important, because maybe you are very ready, you're very focused, you want to apply to SDA Bocconi, but you will take your GMAT in a couple of months. Do not worry, submit application form now, and then your GMAT can be sent at a later stage. So it's important to remember such aspects. And now, more important, scholarships and tuition waivers.
Yeah, we're quite proud of our tuition waiver and scholarship program. As you can see, more than a third of the class has some sort of financial assistant in that form. I think right now there's 36 on offer that are a minimum of a 50% tuition reduction. So what that means is if we award a tuition waiver or scholarship, it's not some token €2,000 piece to sort of tempt you to join our program. It's a really meaningful amount of money, and it's all merit-based, right? So we're going to be looking at all parts of your profile the same that we will in the application. And then some are profile specific, right? They might be designed for a geographic region, a woman, a person from a certain professional profile, things like that. And so I always encourage our applicants to look completely through our offering of tuition waivers and put your name forward for any that you're qualified for. You won't be qualified for all because your profile won't meet that, or your Gmat might not be high enough, but there's no disadvantage to putting your name in the hat for any one for which you qualify.
Yeah. And maybe Meghan, if we can leave this slide here. Maybe Meghan can just share a tip for our prospective candidates. How should they prepare for their admissions process?
Yeah, I would say if you're thinking about it, now it's November. Now is a very good time to take your GMAT. There's, everyone has a different path. I think it's very, very stressful when you're applying. I felt that way. I took my GMAT 3 times. So don't just understand that if you're stressed, that's normal. And if you can apply earlier, it's better, like Tyler said, because for tuition waivers, it does matter the earlier you apply. But, I know people who applied later as well and also got in. So I wouldn't worry if you're aiming for April and you want to get a good GMAT score. Like Francesca said, you can always, turn in your application earlier and then put your GMAT score later.
This slide also shows our contact details. So for those of you, of course, who are interested in getting in touch with myself, with Tyler, Tyler is based in the United States and based in Milan. If you happen to be in Milan and you want to come on campus and attend a class session, absolutely more than welcome. If you want to share your CV, contact us so we can organize a one-to-one call. Of course, we strongly encourage you to do so. So I see Harris is back.
Yeah, I know we just we're basically run out of time, but I think you guys did a great job in explaining the difference between a European MBA and a US-based MBA. So thank you so much for that. I think a lot of international students will have questions about that, and you guys did a great job of explaining that. So I wanted to thank you, Francesca, Tyler, and Meghan, all of you guys for putting in your time today and explaining that. And of course, as you mentioned right before this, is if anyone wants to reach you guys out, they can reach you through the information you just provided. Those of you who are on YouTube can go back to that and write down the emails. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to the team and they'll be happy to help you. But that's all we have for today in terms of time. So we look forward to inviting you guys next time. And good luck to all the applicants out there. Thanks again, everyone. Bye.
Great. Thank you. Arrivederci da Milano.